Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 696, recorded live on February 19th, 2023. I'm your host, Aleva. This week's screenshot is by, I'm going to butcher the name, Saekee. It's Saekee. Submitted a screenshot of a lost kobold, the 576th DDO screenshot. Thanks to Saekee for sending in this week's screenshot. So this I like to talk about Dungeons and Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can watch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, or from our website, DDOcast.com. The audio portion of the show will also be available on Spotify. DDOcast is hosted by Buzzsprout, the awesome podcast hosting network. Shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show will probably be the 25th of February at 3 p.m. Eastern. And you can stay updated by following us on our social media pages or our website, DDOcast.com. And on the show this week, we are going to be talking about, I'll cover the store sales, the Lamania Preview 3. I'm going to spend some time talking about that. And then I'm going to talk a little bit more about character building and planning, time permitting. So, I've heard some rumors about the server transfers being disabled and a bug with some characters on Orion that are not able to go up to the level cap. This looks like they're stuck at level 28. Not sure when the fix is coming from that. I did see some dev posts that they are working on it. Um, so just as an FYI, if you are on Orion, I believe it is, I want to pay attention to that. Store news, the sales now through February 23rd. Select marks, crafting success boosters, Caneth essences, and collectible crates are all on sale. And this week's coupon code is Quick Fix. That gets you a free repair shop. So, with that, let's start talking about Lamani. We just had the preview 3 of the update, which is going to be U58, update 58. This past week, I did get a chance to play on it a little bit and do some more exploration. Um, First of all, the easiest to talk about the loot. There's I'm not gonna say it's great loot. I'm not gonna say it's bad loot. It's okay, kind of middle of the road. One thing that I'm not that big of a fan of with the loot is on the legendary versions of the stuff is the colorless slot. Um, a lot of it looks like it's going to be green and colorless or a level 31 item, named item, which just doesn't feel right with it being a colorless slot. A bit too restrictive. A lot of the loot is going to be the heroic version has a blue slot. Legendaries have green and colorless. So, and they've got some decent stats on there. I think some of it is kind of um, well, I do like that you can get Long Strider with recent changes to how character movement through shallow water works. Long Strider is nice. So it's nice to be able to have a Long Strider clicky for characters that can't cast it. Um, so yeah, that's nice on some of them, but I'm not seeing anything I'm super excited about for any of my characters. Personally, with the loot, and again with I think that probably the biggest hit I'm gonna say is that it is comes with a colorless slot. That's just it's I mean, I know there's a lot of diamonds out there that get slotted on in-game gear sets, and I think for the most part they're pretty much taking up all colored slots. Um, but I don't know, we're gonna put the stuff in there anyways, and I would personally rather have maybe a green and blue slot. Keep the blue slot from the heroic and just add a green slot to it. These are my thoughts and opinions on it. So, uh, yeah, not a lot of it. There's a cloak, boots, uh, excuse me, a trinket, and some rings. The rings are kind of nice. Do you like the the cherished wedding ring that has the alluring skills bonus +8 on it? So that's a decent ring to it. The legendary version is a +10 insightful um, bonus. So that's nice to have, especially for trying to bump up your haggle or intimidate, perform, bluff, and diplomacy. So that's not a bad item right there. That's on the cherished wedding ring. But yeah, so that's the loot, and I want to go move over to let's kind of talk about the quest to kill 10 rats. I played through most of it. Um, it felt pretty linear in how it goes. Um, it did kind of just dump you into the quest, which was exactly like the Sharn Docks, and it felt like that was kind of a jolt. Like I clicked on the quest giver and went to enter the quest, and I felt like I was actually on the Sharn Docks. I was like, wait, am I in the quest or not? What's going on? And so um, that felt kind of like one of those jarring transitions. So um, the dialogue in the quest was, oh, I don't really want to say it's corny because I don't want to knock the writers on it, but it just was like, oh no, something's gonna go wrong. There was just it through the dialogue. It felt like you just knew that something was gonna go wrong, right? I mean, obviously that's why we're there. We're doing the quest. Something's gonna go wrong with it, but it over the top. That's the way of mentioning it. So, um, yeah, you talk to an NPC and that, and then click to investigate something. That was the ship like going down below decks, but you didn't actually go below decks. A giant rat jumps out, and then you basically spend the rest of the quest chasing that rat. Um, so that's why I'm saying it feels pretty linear. There's a lot of wide open spaces. I think I made it about, let's say, halfway to 3/4 of the way through um, before my character died. There was only level 15 in there. Um, but it I didn't run into any rest shrine in there. What I didn't finish it. Let you know. But I didn't run into any rest shrine. Only found a couple collectibles. Um, there was a kind of a cool little nifty area in there. Um, I thought it was nifty with a bunch of NPCs and an optional that you could go do that I did. It was pretty straightforward and it wasn't difficult to get back to the main quest from doing the optional. So may or may not be something people do after doing it once. It was pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Um, I did like the flavor of the quest. Um, Even though the beginning dialogue was kind of over the top and all that stuff. The the quest itself, I enjoyed it. Um, I did enjoy running through it. There was nothing super hard about it. There were some puzzles, pretty standard quest stuff for DDO. So looking to actually play it on live after when U58 comes out. Um, and there wasn't, last I heard, should be this week coming out, but not positive. Also, not sure what's going to happen with that with the schedule and if character transfers are going to take priority or if we're even going to get an extension on the free transfers because I think that's actually been down a couple days. So, from what I understand, at least, um, sometimes it's difficult to extract real information from the forums. There hasn't been a whole lot of dev activity outside of Humble Fryer asking for people to put in tickets for it, which that's when you encounter problems like this, put in tickets. Um, that helps out more than complaining on the forums does. So, uh, yeah, and also there was no Cordovan Friday at 4 because he's on vacation. So, didn't get any updates on that. And then with him being out on vacation or our community manager isn't posting, so there's kind of a lack of communication coming out. Not so. Um, Now that I've kind of rambled on that and gotten off topic a little bit, I want to go back to Lamania. Um, the the updates, bug fixes, I've covered those before. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of new stuff that's in there. One of the big things that I am excited about are the UI changes for leveling up and character creation, stuff like that. That's nice. It's a lot nicer. Makes finding some of the feats easier and filters out all the stuff that you're not going to qualify for, and I like that. All right. What else coming with U58? We have the three new archetypes. Um, I personally have only played the Acolyte of the Skin, the new Warlock archetype. It's fun. It played a lot like the Blasters do. Um, Honestly, wasn't a big fan of the graphic of the Bolt or the Burt Blast. It was pretty Ray-like, and I know they don't always have all the art done for the previews. Because some of the other archetypes were still missing art, but so I'd like to see that get improved, but who knows if it will or not. Um, and but the archetype, I liked it. I'll probably play it at least once on live. Um, the past life feat, um, game +5 fire spell power and 1 MRR. That's that's nice. My sorcerer, my fire sorcerer, will definitely be doing that for the fire spell power. Um, wasn't too excited about the enhancement tree. It's you get some nice stuff in there. Um, it is nice to have different options for that, but I feel like that the archetype is maybe just a little bit too narrow. And I know there's supposed to be alternate versions of it, but this one just feels a little bit more narrow in scope. I don't know why. I can't really put my finger on it, but that's the way it feels to me. Um, all right, so that's the warlock. Dark Hunter. This one I'm kind of excited about just because I'd like to be able to have some trap making, or not trap making, trap finding, rogue skills. in some builds, and um, was looking at splashing a couple levels of Rogue into a build, but all I got is the all I was going to get out of 2 levels of Rogue, because I already had evasion elsewhere, was the ability to find traps. So um, having a couple levels of Ranger, possibly a little bit more exciting. So, and just to be able to use it to get more build flexibility, um, and even with like a Bard Ranger Rogue mix that I've done in the past, now I can do a Bard Ranger and Fighter, or something else for that third class to pick up some more feet, um, or even the base attack bonus, or whatever. So I can be it. I like this archetype in that it's going to open up builds so that I can you can or we can just go into Ranger and into this archetype and get the rogue skills that we might want out of it. I know a lot of like 2 weapon fighters will go into Ranger for the 2 weapon fighting stuff. So um, didn't really play this one too much. Um, I'm more excited about the ability that has another class that can do traps. Uh, so for those that like Ranger, it looks like it could be fun. I'll leave that up to you. I don't play ranged that much, so um, the other one is the Druid change or archetype, which that one I'm kind of a toss up between being most excited about that um, archetype and the Warlock. I like them both. I did play the Blightcaster a little bit. Definitely going to be doing that for my Acid Blasting Warlock, as that past life is about as important as the Acolyte of the Skin one is going to be for it for the spell powers. So overall, looking forward to U58 when it comes out. Hopefully this week, if not next week. Also, I do remember that when U58 comes out, the anniversary event is going to be coming out, and that generally comes out in the end of February, which we are in the last full week of February. One more show in the month of February, and then it'll be March. Um, and spring is kind of in full on startup mode here where I live. So outdoor activities are starting to increase. So it may or may not be changing up the time of the show. Normally I'm trying to do it on Saturday afternoons, but we'll see how that plays out. Uh, I do know that there won't be a show on the weekend of PAX. Yeah, I want to talk about that too. So the weekend of PAX, there won't be a show that weekend because well, one, I'm going to PAX, and two, I have an event on Saturday that I've already committed to. So PAX East is March 23rd through the 26th. A little over a month away yet. Standing Stone Games is going to be there on Thursday, the 23rd. They're going to have a panel about how they make dungeons and all that stuff. I talked about it before. Last week's show. I'm excited about that. I'll be there for it. A lot of other players and some content creators are going well, so looking forward to meeting up with them, as well as going to the Gather for Buffs with the SSG people. So, still time to sign up to go. Anybody that goes, look forward to meeting other DDO players there. Um, so, on, we'll talk a little bit about the transfers statistics from DDO audit. Uh, there are they kind of leveled out. Oh, there was a spike when the transfers were initially opened, and it's kind of fallen off, and there's been a couple of spikes. But overall, uh, transfers have kind of fallen off. As far as the quantity, um, does look like, based on the information, that Orion gotten over 1,000 transfers. Um, and Sarlona has gotten almost 300 transfers. I know personally our guild has gotten a lot bigger over the last few days. So that's nice. It's nice to have more players guild. Um, so not sure why people are transferring. Everybody's got their own reason for doing it, but it is what it is. So I don't want to harp too much on the transfers. But it's just I just like looking at the statistics and the data that been available from it. So with that, talk about a little bit at least. Didn't talk about Lamani as long as I thought it was going to, or as long as it was going to take. Um, Character building and planning. Again, I want to kind of make sure that the advice and stuff that I talk about is more general. Like, I just TR'd my one of my characters and doing a 12 barbarian, 7 cleric, 1 fighter, purple dragon knight life on it, for the EDK past life, and as well as the barbarian class life. So, uh, which is a good, in general, I would recommend both. If you are on the past life train, I also want to make one thing absolutely clear, is that you do not need past lives in this game. You don't. You don't need them. They are not necessary. Um, you want to do a single life, first lifers, um, you can absolutely get a lot of power out of a single life build with feat selection, enhancements, and gear, and all that stuff, and game knowledge. If we're looking at it statistically, I'm going to say that that is 90% to 95% of your character's power are those three things: your build, your enhancements, and your gear, and game knowledge. Those four things. 90 to 95% of your character's power comes from that. Um, so, but if you want that other 5%, if you want those extra special toppings in there, then that's where the past lives come in. The extra dodge that you get from the Shatter Kai, the bonus to DCs. I think it's illusion from Deep Gnome, stuff like that. And with the archetype, the new acolyte of the skin, the +5 spell power and 1 MRR. If you want those things, those little bonuses that add up, um, then if you want to make your character as powerful as it can be, then you're going to need the past lives. Otherwise, you can get it pretty close to powerful as it can be without the past. So again, don't need past lives, um, but if you want to get them, get them. They are a grind, though. We'll say that as much, or we'll say that. Yeah. Um. So where was I before I wanted to make that clear? Um. Right. I just TR'd into a 12/7/1 Barbarian Cleric Fighter, Purple Dragon Knight. One of the first things I did was I went and I'm already level 15, but I went back and did the Gatekeeper's Chain with those quests in the Cerulean Hills. Just breezed through them on Elite real quick, and I also went into Saltmarsh and did a bunch of those quests. One for the Saga for Guild Renown, and two is that's all Gatekeeper favor. Um, so that's at one point you're gonna get 5 hit points from it. Not a lot, but it's good. Um, 5 hit points from Gatekeepers, 5 hit points from the Feywild, the Draconic Vitality. All of these favor rewards they start to add up. So these are things that are available to any life character. Don't have to be you got to own the content, but um, just working through a lot of these it builds up that character power, and that's available to every character, every life, provided you own the content, right? So by doing that, I'm already increasing my character's power during that life. These are things when you're grinding the past lives, you got to do these every time if you want. Um, and now I could have waited on the Gatekeeper's Chain until Legendary to do it then and collect the favor there. But I wanted to do it and get it out of the way because I don't spend that much time at Cap, especially on this character. Just kind of grinding out the past lives on it. Um, and plus, this life that I'm doing, I don't particularly care for the melee play style. I know some people enjoy it, some people like it. It can be fun for some people. This one that I'm doing isn't so bad so far. Um, but I definitely prefer to play casters and having that AOE damage. That's what I love. I love the AOE damage. And while this character does have access to cleave, it's no it's no multi-vial from the alchemist, or the meteor swarm from the sorcerer. That's the type of damage that I like. Um, so yeah, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time at Cap. Will spend some time at Cap because one of the things that you can do there is the legendary Reaper questing at Cap that can provide a ton of additional power for your character, not only in Reaper mode but as well as outside of Reaper mode because the cores of all the trees work outside of Reaper mode. Um, so and I've been doing some data collection on Reaper XP gained during my heroic leveling, as well as my legendary questing. And the legendary questing for Reaper experience is blows away all of the um, heroic Reaper XP that's gained. So if you're after Reaper XP, you're gonna want to do it at endgame. That's where it's at. Um, Voodoo Voodoo Spice is the one that turned me onto that. So um, that's um, he does it, and a lot of other players do it. So that's where I picked that up from. Um, so if you're after that legendary, or if you're after the Reaper XP, do it in legendaries. You'll get so much more. It's ridiculous how much more you get just there. Um, so that's like the favor things, the Reaper cores, general stuff. Um, what else is general to character building. There's the hit points from the favor, and then there's some that give the boosts. And so if you want to get another couple of points added to his skills, some of the favor factions, I don't know, the houses, um, some of that stuff gets you skill bonuses. So I implore you to look that stuff up, um, and find out what is going to benefit your character. And then if you haven't gotten it already during your leveling, try, maybe try to work it into the leveling, or go back later on and collect that favor, because there's just so many quests in the game now, so much XP available. If you did it, like when you do it all, like on hardcore doing the 5K favor run, you're maxed out on XP for dozens of quests. It felt like, at least especially through level 3. Uh, the level 3 quests, if you're doing them at level 5, maxing out your bravery bonus and character power, balancing that out. Um, I think I did half of my level 3s during season 6, capped for XP. So yeah, there's so much XP that you're not gonna do every quest. And there's no need to do every quest anymore, unless you're doing that favor run. So there's that. Um, Character planning. Definitely recommend Matron's character planner for that. What I use, I also like to browse through um, the build forums, the class forums, looking at those, trying to get ideas of what other people are doing. And that's one of the things that I do is I find one of those builds and I use that as a base, and I adapt it to my play style, because um, like the 12-7-1 split that I'm doing right now, um, doesn't take cleaves. I like cleaves. I like the AoE damage, so I've got cleaves worked in there. But at the same time, I've also played it a little bit without the cleaves, just to try to give it its fair shake, on how it was designed to see. But I like comparing a build as to how it was presented to me and how I did it, or how I would rather do it. I'm constantly respecing my enhancements, uh, and when you find these builds, or you take a build, make it your own. Um, you don't have to follow it exactly. Um, I've done it twice now where I've followed the build exactly to see how it was, and both times had the same result. I didn't like it. wasn't wasn't fun for me. So because it just, one, I felt like it was underpowered the way that it was. There's things that I would do differently, and that there's absolutely no scientific data behind that feeling. It was just like, that's, I felt weak in that build. And the other one, I knew it could be better. And granted, the person that posted the build said that it could be better, but it was an experiment on it. And I did it, and I liked it well enough during heroics, but just did not want to play it at legendary. So it was good in getting the purpose of a rogue Shader Kai past life, but that's about it as far as I was concerned. Um, yeah, Matrix planner, find a build, load it into the planner. Whether you get the build file, or sometimes if you're just looking on the forums, people post builds in different formats. Some of the older ones um, need to be updated with the changes to the Epic Destinies. And so that's another thing too, is the Epic Destinies. I like the way that they are now. I vaguely remember when they came out, and the twists and all that stuff, which I think was a good idea. But I also like this new system. So um, for me personally, it's going to be a tomato tomato. I know some people prefer one over the other. Um, and we can probably say that many wars have been fought over which Destiny system was the best. But the one that we have, I like it. It works for me. Um, some of the things that I don't like is that we can only view the three. That's rather annoying. Um, so I uh, yeah. So, but that's the more UI and gameplay stuff, and it's um. So, but as far as the function of the destinies, I like it. I like being able to pick one from each of the spheres, or three from the same sphere, or spend a little points here, spend a little points there, um, without without having to do any type of getting the twists and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's like sometimes you wind up spending points in a destiny that you don't want to just to get the thing that you want. So that's where twists maybe could be brought back. If they would do that, it would be nice. At the same time, we have the destiny. It's it works. Um, and with the destinies in the game in general, there's a lot of players. It's not gonna no system. I don't think is gonna please everybody. So I have to use what we're given to our advantage. Um, so yeah, it's in yeah, but I do like the destiny system, and that is one thing that I'm especially on a life where I'm going to be at legendary for a while. I'm constantly fiddling with the destinies, resetting trees, and I even do that in heroics too. So don't be afraid to reset the enhancements. Um, like you're following the build, and it says to take this thing, and it looks good on paper, but then when you're playing, whether you're a soloist or you're in group, and you're just not using it that much, back out of it. Reset your enhancement tree. One thing to keep in mind is that you want to make sure that um, you're enjoying your game experience. That's ultimately what drove me away from the game years ago. Is that I wasn't enjoying it anymore. I kind of stopped playing, along with real life. But making sure that you're having fun playing the game is the number one thing. So, um, yeah. So respect your enhancements, respect your destinies. Builds can be fluid. Um, and with all the types of different players, if you start reading, if you look at builds and you find one on the forums, you're like, oh man, this sounds like it'd be an awesome time to play. And then if you so happen to start scrolling through the comments, well, welcome to the comments. It's the internet, and those are the comments, and some things are always true. Um, but at the same time, you can get some good advice in there, especially if somebody is like a newer build poster, some of the more experienced posters or build mechanics out there have good, valid criticism. So it is the comments, but again, the the point that I'm gonna keep coming back to is make the builds your own. Um, Start with a base and go from there. If it works for the way that you play it, if the build works for the way that you play as written, then awesome. It makes it so much easier. Um, if not, change it up. read about the the things. Maybe that's the time to go into the comments. Just do that. And then planning is also a very, very important step when it comes to these builds, especially if you're going to take a build and start to veer off. Make sure you know which direction you're going, and keep going in that direction until it proves to be inefficient or unfun, whatever. When it doesn't work, abandon it. Abandon the plan and come up with a new one. Um, so Matrix Planner is absolutely fantastic. I use it. A lot of people use it. I think it's probably the most widely used planner um, out there. It's an amazing resource. You can load up all your stuff in there and look at your how your character is going to be, how it's going to perform, um, and all that stuff. And then you can also right there in the planner, you can respec your destinies and your enhancements and see what the changes are going to be. And so if you find that thing that was in the build that you're not using or just doesn't work for the playstyle that you're in or whatever, you don't have some builds out there assume racial points. If you don't have those, you can look to make up things elsewhere or whatnot. So use it as the sandbox that it is for planning your characters. Um, so what else do we want to talk about with character planning? I think that's about it. Um, Next week, though, I'm going to have Matrix Planner up with a build, kind of go over some of the things that I've learned in it and stuff like that. I'm going to start reviewing a build that I found that was fun, and I'm actually going to. It's an alchemist build. I liked it, and going to look at that as and point out some of the general things for alchemist um, and whatnot. So that's what's on the agenda for next time. I'll have that build up, talking through it and talking some of the alchemist stuff, and then kind of go from there through each of the classes in general form. Um, so I'm going to try to have played. I've played most of the classes at least once as pure classes. With the exception of fighter, I don't think I've always splashed fighter. But yeah, anyways, uh, having gone through each of the classes and talking about each class in its most general form. So now that we've kind of covered everything that I can think of as far as general stuff, where it's the past lives that add to your build, the favor rewards that add to your build, the or Reaper enhancements that add to your build, and all that. So now I think it's time to get just a little bit more specific in each class, what some of the classes can do and different ways to build within a class. Haven't decided completely on whether or not to talk about the multi-classing or splashing, however you want to say it. I do honestly, I prefer being pure class as I'm playing, just because I like the capstones. Some of them are not that great though. We'll admit that. But And with that said, I've been talking about the 12-7-1 split that I'm doing right now. So uh, multi-classing is good. Pure classing is good. Um, so it's whatever you want to play. I Given the choice though, probably I'd lean more towards being a pure class than multi-class. So um, we'll have that for you to look forward to. Hopefully, a full-on review of U58 next week, and also want to. But completely just lost my train of thought. Oh, that's what it was. Just looked over at the Twitch thing. At the end of each show, I want to start giving a shout out to some of the other content creators. This week, I've already mentioned his name once, Voodoo Spice. I love watching the show. It's fun. His morning show is fantastic. You can catch him on his channel Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. It's his standard stream times. But with enough support, he will do bonus hours. And honestly, to what's gotten to this point has been Voodoo Spice. He's sat down one day and was on Twitch and said, "Hey, I wonder if anybody streams DDO." And I found Voodoo, and I was like, "Man, this guy's having fun playing this game." I used to have fun playing this game, so I re-downloaded the game. I was a little over. I was in the fall, early winter last year, November, December timeframe. So here I am, almost coming up will be shortly a couple months, a year and a half later, over a year later, hosting DDOcast, which is like this is weird, unreal. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the game again. All thanks to finding Voodoo Spice. So big shout out to him. He also streams on Saturdays on the DDO channel, DDO's Twitch channel. He's currently hosting the teaching raids on Sarlona. Him and the High Lords of Melchior. If you want to find out some more information on that, check out the Sarlona forums. He usually posts one on Mondays. They'll post which the next one is. They just did Skeletons in the Closet. They're going to go through every raid. I've been to a lot of the teaching raids. I've watched a lot of the teaching raids. They're fantastic. Just overall, Voodoo Spice is a fantastic creator. I really like what he's doing as far as content and all that stuff. Yeah, check him out, Voodoo Spice, on Twitch and on YouTube. So that next week I'll highlight another creator. And if you are a creator, let me know so I can give you the shout out at the end of DDOcast every week. Will be a different creator. We'll probably cycle back through them at some point, but I want to get through all the content creators, giving them all a shout out at least once. So that's that. It's been almost an hour. We're gonna wrap up the show. Thanks for watching, everybody. I want to give a special thanks to all the Patreon supporters, subscribers, and everybody that donates to continue the show. It's really appreciated. Thank you again for watching.